Welcome guys to this special video. Today we are having the most anticipated video of the year, our interview with Stefan Langer. We asked you guys to give us some questions for him and you had really good ones in there. So we brought a few and asked him them, and if you want to have a second part with him again in this interview to have more questions to him, just go down below, write a comment and tell us that you want more of him, so we can make a second part happen. So welcome Stefan to our interview and congrats to the world champion title. Now you won the Grand Prix, you won the German Nationals, you won the 18-meter World Championship, and your position tied at first for the IGC World Ranking.
Thank you so much.
We have a lot of good questions from our community about you and your trip to America to the World Gliding Champion. But before we start diving deep into this, how was your trip? How do you feel? And how did you withstand the heat of the States?
It was a great trip. I was already in the United States for Oshkosh for this big air venture, which is not really a gliding event, but it was also great to connect to other YouTubers and creators and so on and see this nice air show for the first time. And then I flew Arcus Jet in Washington DC, and afterwards I arrived in Uvalde already really early, so I had about 1.5 weeks of training before the official competition started. So it was good to get into the daily routine, into the heat and so on. And yeah, for the competition I was really feeling good.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. It seemed like a lot of fun in the States with a very long competition. And congrats again for everything that happened with your happy end. Perfectly well done. So let's start into the questions that we have. First question would be, how did you get into YouTube and social media? How did it all start? Because we both already knew each other before your YouTube career. We met at the German Junior Nationals and different competitions. So how did it all begin?
Yeah, about this time when we met for the first time, I think I also started with creating some YouTube videos, or perhaps even Vimeo videos at the beginning. But I just wanted to make videos about the competition. I think the first one was about a German Junior Championship, and I wanted to share the experience to my friends, to my old schoolmates and so on. So not really for the gliding community, but more for my own friends. And somehow it was fun to create these videos, and at some point I started to upload at YouTube. And then I had some idols, some other YouTube creators who continuously published about their sports experience and so on. And then, yeah, at some point I had a huge luck, I would say. It was at the e-glide competition in Pavullo, where my first video got more than 1 million views. And then, of course, also the other videos and so on, they picked up, and it was, yeah, getting more interesting also to create more videos. I earned a little bit of money with it as well, with YouTube AdSense, and yeah. At the end, I really enjoy it to create videos. I enjoy it to have this community that you get a lot of comments, but also if you're at a competition or an airfield and others just want to connect, want to talk about something, about different types of gliders or where to go, which is the best place to fly in the world and so on. So it is great fun, and of course there are also some people who invites you to come, let's say, to the United States to fly there in California and so on. So all this community together makes it so special and makes it fun to do this.
And I think one key success factor is also that the community feels like a part of your gliding adventures, or is looking at the gliding adventure of a friend. So that's a very good point.
One part of this adventure is that I'm now very successful with competition flying, but initially this was not the point which was important, or which is not important at all. Even nowadays, I would say it's more the whole gliding adventure, the travel by glider trips and flying in different countries and so on. It's easier to pack into a video, I would say. For the viewer, it's more interesting.
Yeah, 100%. That's true. It's following like the gliding adventure of a passionate guy and on his way in gliding. So, from your beginnings to the beginnings of other pilots, if you had one tip for a starting competition pilot, or what you wanted to know when you started gliding in competitions, what would it be?
Good question. So, at my first competition, I made one big mistake. It was, I thought it is important to get a good thermal, a good climb rate, but also to glide down really far. So I won my first competition day of my first competition, but it was a lot of luck. It was not knowledge or good flying, it was luck, because I glided down really far. I was in, let's say, 300 meters above ground level, got a 3-meter thermal up to the cloud base, and that was a big part of the competition flight because it was a short one. But exactly this thing is something I learned some years later, that it is about risk management. So the risk is high that you make an outlanding there. But if you stay, let's say, a little bit higher, you have more options to pick good thermals, or if there is some thermal perhaps, but it's not good enough, you have enough height to glide to a next one, and the chances are lower to make an outlining. So it is more about the flow, so that you find good lines, find a reasonable good thermal, and just continue doing this the whole flight. And yeah, I think that's one very important thing to think about. It's more about the continuous good lines, good thermals, and not about having one good thermal, one good flight, and so on.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good advice, and also very fitting to the next question. How much do you think gliding is based on luck?
In general, if I see all my competitions together, there is not a lot of luck. But of course, there are competitions which are shorter, where you don't have as many competition days, like the world final from the Sailplane Grand Prix last year, and we had 4 flying days. And at the last competition day, the #1 ranked pilot Sebastian Cava, he made a big mistake at the last day. He programmed task B instead of task A, which we should fly, in his gliding computer. So he lost a lot of points, or didn't earn points at this day. And there I would say it was also luck involved, because the other one made mistakes and so on. And yeah, but here at this World Gliding Championship in Uvalde, we had 12 flying days, and there I would say it is only a little bit of luck. Perhaps there are parts of a flight where you invest a little bit more risk, and perhaps you get a reward, or it can go into an outlanding or to use the motor at the end. But that's the overall tactics, how much you want to invest. And if you don't invest this risk and try to fly offensive, then of course it is also hard to win a World Gliding Championship. So I would say luck is important, but it's only a small portion at the end. Also, when the weather is not forecasted the correct way and so on, then luck is a bigger portion. But usually and overall, over all the competition flights, luck is only really a small part.
So that means on a longer competition, luck is less important, and on shorter competitions, luck is more prominent then, right?
Yes, and especially also when I began with competition flying and so on, I thought luck is a big part and so on. But you see, the very good glider pilots, they just get good results in most of the competitions. So it is not only about luck at the end.
Yeah, that's true. And otherwise, you would be the most lucky guy winning like three big competitions in that time frame, right? So, going into the States, how did you prepare for the World Gliding Championship before traveling here in Germany?
Um, so in general, I would say the preparation for World Gliding Championship starts already several years before, so that you get into flying 18-meter competitions, for example, to fly the sailplane Grand Prix and so on, to just have a good training level. And also the German nationals, last year, for example, they helped me to get into all this. This year, my training was not really great, I would say, because I didn't fly an 18-meter class competition before this year. So that was on my plan, that I go to Norway for the sailplane Grand Prix. At the end, it didn't work out perfectly because of the delivery date of the glider, and also I had not so much time available this year, so I had not such a competition. But for me, the most important thing was then to focus on getting used to fly the AS33, to get some hours in the glider before it was shipped to the United States. So I had about 1 month where I can use this new glider, where I can get used to it. And for me, it was more important to just fly it, to be in the air, than the direct training in a competition with it. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of joy, and I think this was also a key point, that I enjoyed it very much, the training flights with a new glider, but also then I was really into this competition, because it was one of 2 competitions only this year, and then you're more motivated, and it's not a routine, it's something which is really special and really fun.
Yeah. I mean, you still got a lot of hours on the
Yes.
33 before Uvalde here in Germany. So, how big was the step from the 29 onto the 33? How well did you feel in the cockpit and for all the flight characteristics?
So, of course, I already flew the 33 last year and the year before for a small or shorter test flight, and it is slightly different, but it is just an ASG29 which feels better. It's a little bit more feedback and so on. So it is not a huge step, but it's just more enjoyable and fun to fly it. So at the end, of course, flying with a heavier wing loading and so on is something you need to get used to, perhaps. But here in Germany, I made a lot of travel by glider flights. I was flying in the Alps and so on, so it was not really the direct training for the competition. And I never flew with 600 kilograms with my new glider before here in Germany. So the first flight with 600 kilograms was at the training days in Uvalde, and it just felt great, and I had no big problems, and especially at these good weather conditions, it's just enjoyable and fun to fly. So overall, of course it is good, and I think it was also the right thing to have about 80 flying hours before I headed to the US, and then I had at least 20 more hours, 30 more hours in the US before the start of the competition. So I think that was a good thing to have this time in the new glider, but it is not a big difference. If you are used to the ASG29, you will also are getting used to the AS33 really quick.
Yeah, perfect. Short acclimatization period is always very good and important. Now with the 33ME, you are the first world champion that won the 80-meter class with the self-launcher and also an electric one on top, which is very historic.
Yeah, I also saw this comment at Facebook somewhere that someone told, yeah, it's the first one with a self-launching 18-meter glider. And that's exactly why I love this electric propulsion system, because you get this propulsion system in a completely competition glider. So it's easier to pack the components in these small fuselages and so on as before with a combustion engine. And of course the weight thing, the heavier empty weight was not a problem in these awesome conditions in Texas. So yeah, and it is great also for the training days and so on. You just use your own propulsion system start. You save a little bit of of money for the aero tours, but of course the investment of the propulsion system is quite high. And yeah, especially for other flights as well here in Europe for the travel by glider trips, it's amazing to have this propulsion system.
So that sounds very suitable for everyday use, even at a competition. Because I think if you're deciding to really bring a self-launcher, I mean, you should use it, right?
Yes, yes, and it's also quicker to make the self-launch. It helps the other competitors to get in the air with the aero tow quicker and so on. So I think overall it's a great thing. Yeah.
Moving on from your preparation and the self-launching in the competition and to the preparations on a scoring day at the competition. Give us a small insight into your everyday routine.
Okay, so I would say the day starts before breakfast. So because usually we wake up at 7:30, my brother was the crew, and together, at least at the beginning, together we went to the airfield already to ballast the glider, to fill in there 90 to 100 liters of water, then drive through the scale and into the grid. And because it is really warm there, so you want to have these colder mornings to prepare the glider not to be exhausted already. Then we went back into the hotel, had breakfast. Afterwards at 10 o'clock there's the official briefing where we get the weather, where we get the task and talk about some safety issues the previous day and so on. And then after this briefing we have our internal briefing with the German gliding team. We had there a room which was rented at a police academy. It was quite funny. And there Wally Bayer, our team captain, he made by his own another weather briefing, a very detailed one, and of course we were discussing in our team the tactics and so on. And then we head back to the hotel for at least 1 more hour to stay in a cooler room. And there I also have a look again at the skyside weather, for example, or also at top meteo. I compare both models and compare it to what the other meteorologists and team captains said and so on. So I also make my own, try to get an own feeling about the weather. And yeah, then of course it is time to head to the grid. In Uvalde there was something special. We were not allowed to put our gliders onto the runway already in the morning, so we needed to put the gliders outside of the runway, and then at 12 o'clock we put the gliders into the runway, into the correct grid position. And then was most of the time after 30 minutes, so 12:30 was the first launch, and it depended if you're in the front or rear of the grid, and then you have a little bit more time to stay in the car with the air conditioning to stay cool. And my brother, most of the time, he prepared the glider, he removed the all-weather covers, the cloud dancer covers and so on, so I can focus on the preparation, have another look at the satellite pictures, can discuss with my teammate, with Simon and so on. Yeah, And then it's time for competition flying. We had a really long task there, so I think the longest flight was more than 7 hours and nearly 700-kilometer task. So I think 670-kilometer task was the longest one. So quite long days, and at some day we also land just 20 minutes before sunset, so really late. And then of course you need to clean the glider, download the flight track, publish it, and then put on the all-weather covers and so on. And then it was time to get something for dinner, and of course try to sleep as long as possible. So these were quite long, exhausting days, especially with the heat and so on. It is really challenging. And then in between the competition I had a flu or something, so I had another health struggle, I would say, which was more exhausting. And I was really happy that we had a rest day and that one day was cancelled, so I had a little bit of time to relax and get better.
Yeah, those days seemed very long and very rough about this whole period of time. You had like a lot of training days and a lot of competition days. But fitting to the question that we had earlier about luck, do you think hard work beats talent, or do you think talent is the most important thing for a competition pilot?
I would say most of the result is because of hard work, because you are doing a lot of preparation, training camps, competitions and so on. So it is a lot of experience which you gain over the time and which you get also from other good competition pilots who train you, who fly together with you and so on. But of course the last bit of getting a world champion, I would say there is also talent involved. But yeah, it is really hard to say and to know, because yeah, what is talent, what is hard work? So yeah, I would say from the beginning on, I was into RC flying, flying RC gliders and so on. That helped me to get an understanding of thermals and how this all works. Then I started gliding really early, which is also good. If you start with the 8 or 14, for example, when you get used to all this in an early age, and then all the other training camps, the German D-Cater helped a lot, flying there in a team together with another standard Libelle and so on. That was amazing. And then it's just small steps, flying international competitions, being in the C-Cater, B-Cater and so on. So the junior level, the German junior level, and then the senior German team and so on. So all this together makes it slightly better over the time, but it's a lot of flying, a lot of competition flying especially. It doesn't help for good results in a competition to be, let's say, in southern France, to fly there all day long and just enjoy flying. It is more about flying as many competitions as possible, because you have the direct comparison to each other.
Yeah, talent seems pretty useless if you're not putting the same work in as other people, right?
That's true, yes.
Yeah. Since you've achieved everything you could, like winning a Grand Prix final, winning German nationals, now winning a world championship in 80 meters of the FAI, and being tied for first place at the IGC ranking, what would be your next goal in gliding?
Good question. I have not really the answer, the plan for this. Of course, next year I'm flying 2 more worlds. I'm flying the club class World Gliding Championship in Czech Republic, and I am flying the Sailplane Grand Prix final in France, in Saint-Aubin. And of course, it would be good to have some other good results there, especially in club class, where I competed already in 2 World Gliding Championships where I was 3rd. So perhaps an improvement there would be awesome. But at the end, I would say it is a great, really a great success to be world champion. Last year I thought, yeah, to be world champion once is great. Of course, now being world champion in the FAI class as well is also amazing. And then the most important thing is to enjoy gliding, to just having fun, and do also some travel by glider adventures, to perhaps make a video series about some travel by glider competitions or something like this with some friends and so on. These are the bigger goals, I would say, to just explore some more other flying as well.
Yeah, and on behalf of the community, thank you for taking us with you on your trips so charmingly and combining all the facets of gliding into one place to be, not only focusing like on competition gliding on the big race machines, but also being down to earth, just having fun at gliding. And now the most anticipated question of this interview. We're talking about the Holy Trinity. Between JS3, Aventus 3 and AS33, what is the best glider?
Of course, I would prefer the double three, so the 33. Yeah, we had awesome weather conditions. So at the training day, we flew an average speed of nearly 167 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely amazing. These energy lines, these climb rates, let's say climb rates between 3 to 5 meters per second and so on. It is just a very, very good weather there, which we don't have here in Europe, but therefore, especially therefore, it is so important that you have this heavy wing loading. So 60 kilograms per square meter was really good. And I would say that was one of the important factors. And yeah, so the JS3 has nearly the same wing area as the AS33. I would say the AS33 climbs slightly better. I also made some analysis on WeGlide where you can see the radius and the speed of thermaling, and comparing to different competitors and so on. I would say I was circling in a smaller radius or smaller diameter, but had the same speed. So I think that's the biggest advantage there, that you can be more in the core, climb slightly better, and flying straight. The AS33 just flies amazing. I didn't feel that it is a worse glider compared to any other glider, also in straight flying. So it is just the fantastic glider for these conditions.
Yeah, that's nice to know. We're always very pleased that you like the glider, and a lot of people like our gliders, and we love to hear those kind of words about our beautiful ship. So thank you for your time, Stefan. Those were the few questions from the community. Again, congratulations to your historic win. We were all following you, even if it was late. We were very proud that you've chosen the AS33 and had this amazing win in Uvalde championship that a lot of people were looking forward to. So we wish you a mostly jet lag free night, even we know that it's going to be hard. Beautiful day in Germany. And for the end, what are your plans for the rest of the year?
So first of all, thank you also so much to the complete Alexander.Schleicher team for creating this glider. It is really an amazing glider, and also it was great that you managed to deliver it in time before the competition so that I can train and fly the World Gliding Championship. The other question was what I will do this year. I will make some plans in the next weeks. First of all, I need also to work on my own Stefly products, deliver the orders and so on. So that's the most important thing. Then of course I have a lot of video footage which I need to edit. I have the travel by glider trip, which I made with the AS33ME before Uvalde. I have some footage from the World Gliding Championship. There I also want to make a longer video. And then let's see, perhaps there are some ideas, perhaps fly in Namibia again for 1 week or so, or make a small expedition to Santiago de Chile. There's one container going to Chile this winter, and yeah, but time is a problem now. I was for 6 weeks in the United States, so let's see, and do the work first and then play again.
Yeah, amazing plans. We're looking forward to your videos about it, and just enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you guys for watching this video. Remember to like and comment if you want to see a second part with Stefan, and also go to Stefan's YouTube channel. You all know the drill. Like, subscribe, and we see us again in the next video. Bye.